All right, welcome. Let's see if I can figure out.
I'm transferring to you right now,
Oh,
Ty.
perfect.
So Ty is the founder of SalesSeed, and SalesSeed is really dedicated to helping, firms grow their business. And Ty has, quite a bit of experience in sales and accounting and training. And Ty, I'll kind of let you kind of fill in more.
Absolutely, and thank you guys for having me today. Sorry for the little snippet at the beginning. It's been a crazy day, but it looks like my camera's working. Things are getting underway, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about using a CRM. As Val said, we've talked about this multiple times in the past about the importance of using a CRM in an accounting firm and just the value of the information in there. And part of what we do, like Nathan said, is help accounting firms grow by implementing sales strategies and processes, which really is not that scary when you understand that it just means giving you a framework to grow successfully and to grow easily. So I'm going to let you guys monitor the chat, Nathan, and the questions. And if I need to jump in, just let me know as we get into there. But I want to go ahead and just kind of get us kicked off and get us started. So before we even really jump into talking about what a CRM can do, I like to set a baseline of really what a CRM is. And by definition, your CRM is just your customer relationship manager or your customer relationship management system. A lot of people, hear about this and know that they want to jump into it and know that they want to explore it, but they just don't really even know what it is. And it's a technology that is built to help you manage all of your firm's interactions with past, present, and potential clients to help you reach your retention and growth goals. As Val mentioned, he worked with one a long time ago and I hate to say a long time ago, Val, sorry about that. It was back in the beginning of CRMs, and it's come a long way, as he said. There's all kinds of different vendors out there. They can be simplistic or complex, and that's I think one of the reasons why accounting firms have been hesitant to adopt this in the past, because it is a lot. It's just a lot to take on. So what we want to do today is go through a little bit about what you ought to think about and how you can use it, and then see a demo at the end. I do like to talk a little bit about the history of CRMs, because these really only started in the 1970s, and it started based on companies using customer satisfaction surveys to really evaluate what their customers thought of the business. And at that time, there wasn't a really good way to track this other than through spreadsheets and lists. So it was 1986 when the first CRM system came out, which was called ACT, and it was basically just built on a Rolodex of the business's clients or customers. And it's come a long way from there. Now it's really, the technology is incredible and is a way to help you track that prospect and customer data to make better sales, marketing, and retention decisions. So there's a couple specific components that I think are important in a CRM that help your business. And those are, there's data warehouse technology that gives you KPIs out of all the information that's in the system to help you make better business decisions. There's opportunity management that helps you track your pipelines and your sales forecast to plan revenue more accurately. There's the ability to track marketing campaigns and analyze your customer interactions. And the contact management is really what allows you to keep all of your client interactions in one place. All right, and let's actually talk about the 4 different types of CRMs very quickly. So when you look at CRM systems that are on the market, they really can be categorized into 4 different types. You've got strategic, you've got operational, you've got analytical, and you've got collaborative. And the one that you guys want to focus on, which is what Zoho falls under, is the strategic, because the strategic type of CRM systems are the ones that are built to help you develop a more customer-centric business culture. And I mean, that's the #1 goal of accountants right now that I talk to. The majority of them out there is really to start building that service-oriented firm and building loyalty and really just working with that customer client base. All right. So why should an accountant use a CRM? Knowing what you know about what we've talked about so far, my question to you is, why would accounting firms not use a CRM? We hear day in and day out that firms are becoming more and more client-centric and they want to focus on relationships. And I don't know about you, but if I had to rely on my own memory to build those relationships and have that type of communication, it's too much, and that's why so many people fail. So your CRM system is going to help you stay on top of all of these initiatives and utilize that technology that's available to support you in all of these endeavors. So let's start with 3 specific ways that accounting firms can use a CRM. All right, so let's get slides following us. The first one is for data management. So one of the biggest keys to successful client service is knowing information about your client. So where we start with a lot of firms is thinking about, do you have a place right now where you house all of your clients' information that includes their business and necessary personal information? For most people, that's their time and billing software. That's kind of their home base. But it doesn't do a lot of good for someone who's trying to build relationships. CRMs not only let you store that contact information, but also the personal data. So maybe you want to track your client's birthday, so you can send them a birthday card. Everybody's doing that now. Maybe you want to go a step further and track more important information. Your client, may open up to you and tell you about his or her wedding anniversary, or that they're expecting their first child, or maybe that they celebrate the anniversary of their business every year. If it's left up to your memory, you're not going to remember to wish them a happy anniversary or send a baby gift, because we're all so busy. I mean, I have to write down my niece and nephew's birthdays. There's a lot that you have to do to remember this, and your clients probably fall further down on the list. So, you want to get to a point where your CRM can help you automate these tasks. I know they seem simple and they seem kind of basic, but it's that extra touch and that extra mile that really drives that service in your firm. The second part to this is it's a great place to track your conversations, whether that's an email or notes from a phone call or a meeting. When you start recording this information in your CRM and you keep track of all the interactions, it doesn't matter if it's you or someone else in your office. All of that information is there and available to those that need it, so that you have that when it's time. Maybe they told you about an important business decision that they're considering. If you include that in your notes in your CRM, you can pull that up for your client or your prospect before your next meeting, so you can reference any of those previous conversations and remember what you need to ask them and trigger those conversations. So data management's really a big piece to this. And in addition to data management, the second piece to this is opportunity management. And this is really the process of tracking all of your new client prospects or new revenue opportunities for the firm. And it covers a couple different areas. One of the things that kind of blows my mind about working with accountants is that they're not great about doing their own forecasting or pipeline management. If I ask them, how many new clients do you expect to sign over the next month, quarter, year? What do you expect your workload to be? What's your revenue projections? A lot of it's based on historical data and not necessarily actual forecasting pipeline data that they know and is tangible and is realistic. So, we get into pipeline management in other areas. It's too much for us to get through today, but it's important to make sure you can automate that process, and a CRM can produce forecasting reports for budgeting and revenue planning very easily if you're tracking that information in there. And the second piece to this, outside of that leadership level reporting, it also helps you automate the processes. So let's say that you've been in talks with a prospect and they tell you that they have a big project coming up and to circle back in 2 months. If you use a CRM, you can set a task to remind you of that. And so the nice thing is once you have the technology in place, it becomes kind of like your virtual assistant. It becomes that person reminding you and staying on top of everything you need to do when it comes to those business processes. And the third piece is using it for client service management. So if you're tracking all of your information as well as your opportunities, then that's what sets you up to start getting client insights. And with that, you're going to have all of your data in one place where you can find trends on your clients that will help you provide greater service. These insights will help you become more proactive in your outreach, and it's going to help you tailor those communications that you send to current clients. It can also help give you insight on market segments that are more lucrative, or where you really need to focus your efforts. So once you get your CRM set up, there's a lot of information that is going to come to you in that process, and it's pretty magical once you get it all set up and working for you. With that, it brings us to our first poll. So I'll let Nathan go ahead and pull that up, and I'll check out some of these questions.
So really just the first poll question is, which of the 3 ways to use a CRM would be most beneficial to your firm? And it looks like people are leaning more towards client service management, Ty.
Yep, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick add there, Ty. One of the things that we learned early on with our little rudimentary access CRM thing, my partners in the firm wanted to add a field essentially tracking per client what gift we had given them before, different gifts we had given them. And one of our other clients actually taught us a trick that if you give a customer or client a gift that's nice enough, you really don't need to put your logo on it. They always remember where it came from. That concept worked really well for us, and we track that in that database. So all kinds of stuff you can track. And yeah, and by the way, I don't mind old. Yeah, I've been in the industry forever, so you can just call me way old.
No, but I appreciate it, and I love that. I actually love that little tip. Branding's good sometimes. Sometimes there's better options, and
better options, right?
I actually talked to someone recently who uses their CRM internally as well, and I thought this was so cool because we were talking about culture, which is totally off topic, and I promise I'll get back on. But he actually kept track of the last time he complimented each of his staff members.
Nice.
He didn't want a month to go by without giving them positive feedback because he feels like all they do is get negative. So I thought that was really cool too. So
absolutely, because we often think wonderful things about great work they've done, but we forget to tell them how they did a great job. Yes.
Yep. And he said when he first started doing it, he was blown away by how much time went in between him giving compliments. So he was like, it was a big deal for them. So it was good. All right. So jumping back in, we'll talk a little bit about some of the ways accountants specifically can use a CRM in your firm to see value in those 3 areas we just discussed. Now, what I want you to know is these are by no means all encompassing. This is just to give you an idea of how to get off the ground in some ways that can make an immediate impact. The other thing to mention is CRMs are also big animals. So the most important thing that you can do if you're choosing a CRM and rolling it out is to actually figure out what is most important and stagger the approach, because the biggest indicator for success is buy-in, and the best way to get buy-in is not to make big heaping changes at once. So maybe prioritize some of these and see what makes the most sense for you as a firm. So one of the first ways you can use a CRM, and one of the biggest ways that you can make an impact, is to enhance the personalized relationships with both your clients and your prospective clients. So, think about, all the clients you've had over the course of your career. How many people have you touched? How many current clients do you have? How much personal information do you know about each one of those? It's a lot. It's hard to remember everything about everybody. And with client service and loyalty, as we mentioned, becoming such a hot topic, it's just not realistic to think that you can provide exceptional client service to clients without some help. So the main point of the CRM is to help build those relationships. And it's a place to not only store the information, but to help you automate those processes and build it. So let's look at what that means specifically for first prospects. So let's think about your prospects first. So hopefully you have quite a few prospects in your pipeline that you're consistently working with to build your trust and relationships so that you can eventually convert them into clients. The problem is anyone that's been in business development or grown their own practice is that prospects can take months or even years to convert. So how do you go about remembering those interactions? Let's say you meet someone at a business that, that you want to bring on as a client. And maybe in that networking event, they gave you tons of information about what they do now, maybe some struggles, some things that are going well, but the business isn't ready to make a move. And let's say you maybe don't make contact with that person for another year. Instead of starting that process over, if you've got all of your notes and conversations and information stored in the CRM, you can pick up that conversation right where you left off. And the nice thing is they truly think that you care about them. You do, but it helps prove that you care about them, that you remember those conversations, and that's going to give you a leg up on your competition, right? That you don't have to start the process over and you have a little trust built. Now, I know that not all prospective clients work that way, but so much valuable information is going to get lost in your email or forgotten conversations. Think about the fact that maybe you meet someone at a networking event and you come back to the firm and you find out someone else is working that connection from the same business. CRMs help eliminate some of that head-to-head, miscommunication because you know what everyone's working on at the same time. All right. The last piece to this is that centralized communication management is if multiple people are working on the same client and you go to have a meeting with them, you'll be able to see all of their emails, all their contact information, everything that's gone on in the process to that point to help you become more informed for all of your meetings as well. All right, let's talk a little bit about how this might work with your clients. So the same thing can be said for client service to your current clients. It's so helpful when the entire firm, not just leadership, embraces a CRM, because then you have all of that communication housed internally. And I see this a lot where they just want to roll it out with leaders and get their buy-in and then get it out to everyone else. But the beauty is in having all that information in one place. So think about, again, how much smoother those meetings are going to go, how much more prepared you're going to be going into meetings. And it allows you to really tailor the conversation and provide that personalized touch when you have access to all the communication with your current clients. The second piece to this is it allows you to become more efficient with your communication as well. You think about what it takes to nurture your leads or your prospects or even your clients so that they feel special. It takes a lot to stay front of mind. It seems like we're always getting emails, we're getting phone calls, texts, we're on social media. There's so many different communication channels around us and they never seem to turn off. So it's incredibly important that you also stay in communication with your clients and prospects. But it's virtually impossible to remember every single email that needs to be sent or phone call that needs to be made without some type of technology backing you up. And that's where your CRM can bring a ton of value. You can automate some of these communications, whether it's having the system automatically send certain emails to warm them up, some lead nurture type stuff, or whether it tells you, it sends you a note and says, hey, this is when you're supposed to call someone. This is when you're supposed to email someone. It can automate a lot of those processes for you to make it more efficient. So how does this work with prospects? So let's say that you're trying to cast a wide net and you work a lot of different prospects to bring in new business. It's exhausting and truthfully ineffective if you don't automate some of that process. Part of converting those leads is, like I said, that nurture process where you have to provide value and build trust. Not everyone is ready to work with you the first time they visit your website or the first time that you make that connection. And if every day you had to think about, what to send to a prospect and who to email and when, you'd never get any work done. So, setting that up and making sure your CRM helps you do this is a big part of the process. All right. With current clients, another way that this efficient and automated communication is helpful is with the onboarding process. We've seen so many firms that have really become so much more efficient in onboarding new clients when they automate this process. So When you're using a CRM, it can be something, as long as it integrates with other platforms, which it should. You can send a welcome email. You can trigger someone to reach out to ask them for certain information. You can trigger different emails that need to go out over the course of the first month that are based on when you get things in and what needs to be done. When you automate that onboarding process, it really helps you just close any holes and gaps that you have. And it can also make those new clients feel valued and get excited about the relationship, because it's something that you don't have to think about. I've got to get this, I've got to get that. It automates itself, and it provides a ton of value to your clients. All right. Another section where you can really add value to your firm with the CRM is brand building. And traditionally, firms aren't known for their marketing initiatives, even though I feel like that's changing a lot right now. It's always been networking and sponsorships. But because of all of the remote engagement now, there's a tremendous opportunity to use your CRM to help build that brand image. So one way you can do this is that you can tag your prospects according to their interest. So let's say that you work with some medical practices, and let's say that you work with, I'm in Kentucky, so I'm going to go ahead and throw out horse farms. Maybe you work with restaurants. If you tag them with certain interests, or if you tag them by, their corporation setup, how they're set up, when you have certain information that is relevant to a subset, using those tags helps you tailor that communication that you have to your prospects, so that they feel like you understand them, and they're getting information that's relevant to them, as opposed to just very generic accounting information. And truly, the same can be said for clients as well. You really shouldn't stop the tagging with just your prospects. When you understand the interests of your clients, you can better tailor their communication as well. So when you're sending them stuff that's important to them, you're building that loyalty and brand awareness. A CRM should make it very easy for you to get valuable information out about tax law changes that may impact a certain subset. And that's really going to help establish you as a thought leader as well. All right, 2 more sections before our next polling question. You have client insights. And we touched on this a little bit in the beginning with the data management, but it's so important to know that when you have all of this information in one place, it's just as important to analyze the data. So as you continue to grow, these insights help you make better business decisions and guide you to greater growth and productivity on the business side. So how do we understand, what does this mean in terms of prospects? Well, it gives you a lot of insight into your prospecting activity. So as you're nurturing leads, CRMs can help provide insight on how engaged your prospect is. How many emails are they opening? How many click-throughs are they having? Which helps you understand where they are in the process. Someone who's clicking through a lot of emails and visiting your website is more engaged than someone who hasn't opened an email, in 2 months, right? And so the nice thing is as they start to engage more, you can start to see that they're warmer leads, and you can start working with them more to try to convert them. This jumps into lead scoring. If any of you guys are numbers geeks, kind of like me, I would definitely, if you're looking into marketing, you can look into lead scoring. But it's a little more than we have time for here. But I think, as you work with your leads and as you start getting insights, you can figure out what lead channels are giving you the greatest number of leads, where your highest conversion rates are, so you can start becoming much more efficient with your business development activities, which is what we all want, right? And then in terms of client insights, when you look at your current clients, this actually it can help you understand profitability as well as opportunities within current clients. So the more you can segment your clients down to see these trends, the better you're able to provide service, right? And this additional type of insight can do a couple of things. It can help you streamline the services you offer. If you see these subsegments are all need specific things, it may be a new product line that you want to add, and it may give you ideas for new marketing segments and in different ways to position what you're doing. All right. The last piece to this is pipeline management. And to me, this is probably one of the hardest things for accountants to embrace when they look at their CRM. And it's not because they don't understand the math behind a pipeline, because they do easily. It's just most firms don't track their projected revenue through a pipeline or forecasting. So, pipeline is, as you know now, measures how much revenue a business or a firm can expect based on the opportunities that they're currently working with prospective clients. And when you track those opportunities in a CRM and you include the likelihood closing percentages and the closing dates, it's really easy to calculate realistic revenue based on what's in your pipeline right now. And it's incredibly important. If you've got everyone in the firm doing this, you can see what, your next month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months are going to look like. So when you're looking at understanding growth potential of new clients, right, the key is to get everyone on board, like I just mentioned, and tracking their activity. If it's just the partners, you're probably going to get a good view into opportunities that are working, but what about everybody else? What about your up-and-comers? If you task them to start doing business development, you want to see what they're working on too. It helps you coach them. It helps you understand, are they able to get meetings, or are the prospects falling off? Or do you have someone who's just blown it out of the water with a close ratio? This is going to help you identify strengths and weaknesses and where you need improvement, and realistically forecast your revenue. Now, the second piece to this, which firms that do this is the biggest advantage they see, is that when you can accurately forecast your revenue, you also know how many staff you need, right? So if you are about to close a bunch of new business, or if you have the opportunity to close a bunch of new business, you may have an increased workload and you may need to bring more people on. And this allows you to become proactive with your staffing as opposed to reactive, which can be a problem that might, impact client retention. You bring a bunch of people in and you don't have the capacity to work on it. All right. Lastly, when it comes to your clients, the CRM is going to help you better understand how to identify upselling or cross-selling opportunities for your current clients. So when you track all these interactions in your CRM, you can better understand what the clients can benefit from based on trends and additional services that are discussed. It's the same as with prospects. It's important to know what revenue opportunities you have with your current clients, because that's where the majority of firms see their first jump in growth. All right, and that brings us to our next polling question. So I'll let Nathan go ahead and pull that up.
So it's looking like which function of CRM would be most beneficial to your firm. It looks like people are saying pipeline management.
I love it.
Yeah, number one right now.
I love it. You guys are my people. That is, I love to hear that, because it's one of the biggest impacts you can have in your firm when you implement a CRM, but it's kind of scariest.
Mm-hmm. It's so easy to kind of think about doing, and then if you don't do it, you kind of lose track of certain aspects.
Oh, for sure.
I'll give this about 10 more seconds and we'll continue, Ty.
Sure.
The proper tool really kind of takes care of that for you once you just start managing the connections, the contacts, and what you're doing, and the pipeline kind of fills itself with the proper tool. So
Absolutely.
really great concepts.
I'm like Val. I'm such a technology geek. I love seeing all this and what it can do to change a business, and it's pretty magical. I love a good CRM. I'm excited for you guys to see Zoho's in just a second. We're going to wrap up with a few things. Am I ready to jump back in, Nathan?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right, so we're just going to wrap up this part of it with a couple of considerations that you can think about as you're looking to implement the CRM, and what you want to make sure you consider as you go through the process. Because as I said, it's big, it does a lot. There's a lot to think about, right? So the first thing that you want to do is think about what your top pain point is. Like we just mentioned, pipeline management was one of the biggest ones you had. But we just talked about 5 different ways: enhancing personal relationships, efficient communication, brand building, client insights, and pipeline management. There's so much more that a good CRM like Zoho can bring to the table, but sit down and rank those pain points so you know what you need now and what you need long term, so you know that the platform has the ability to scale it out and what you need to do to scale through that process. All right. The other thing you want to look at is what are the internal and external experiences when evaluating a CRM. If you're going to have client access points, which a lot of them do, and in communication methods, think about how your client experiences this. You want it to be simple and straightforward and bring value to your clients. You also want to make sure that it's easy to use internally, because that helps with buy-in, right? All right, the third thing you want to think about is your onboarding and support options, because unless your firm has IT professionals on staff, it's going to be important to choose a CRM that'll help you through the process, help you get it set up, and customize it the best way possible to really bring value to your firm. The fourth one is think about what it integrates with. Does it integrate with any current software providers? The integrations help you streamline the process and make it easier on the end user and those that are implementing. At the very least, I feel like it's a must that a CRM integrates with your email system, but there's so many other platforms like Dropbox, G Suite, LinkedIn, or any other platforms that provide integration will just make it easier to automate those different types of services. So make sure you know what integration options you have. And then lastly, you want to forward think towards any customizations that you might need in order to get your CRM to work for you. A lot of times a straightforward out of the box system will do the job initially, but that one size fits all, you'll see, isn't really the best option long term. And I know Zoho has tons of customization options that you can do. You just want to make sure, if you want to add a certain field to the platform to track information about your client, you might want to customize your dashboard, or you might need to customize the steps in your sales process. Any of these scenarios, you want to understand the flexibility of the CRM so you can scale with it long term. And with that said, I have another question in here. So Nathan, I don't know if we need to throw that up now, and after that we can turn it over to the demo.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and do the third polling question a little early so we can do that demo. So really, we're just asking, do you have an internal sales process that you will need to be customized in your CRM?
And it's okay if the third option is your answer, because that's an option that is what a lot of people say. What's a sales process?
Yeah, definitely kind of like what Val mentioned earlier. Just a lot of accountants don't necessarily, or I guess during your presentation, you were kind of touching on that, is a lot of accountants don't necessarily focus on the sales side because they're so focused on the day-to-day activities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome. I'll give the poll question about 10 more seconds, and then we'll continue with the demo.
One other just helpful tip too, for those of you in public practice, working clients and bookkeeping, we learned one of the greatest ways to market your firm, one of the greatest ways to expand your business and pick up new clients, absolutely, is word of mouth. And actually, it kind of requires you to do a little bit of work to kind of kick it off. We had somebody mention to one of our managing partners that, at the end of every good chunk of work you do for a client, as you kind of close up your conversation with them, just have a quick little conversation and say, look, if you like what we do, would you please tell your friends? Because, and by the way, you share that with the clients that you like, because the good people seem to hang with the good people. The clients that you don't like, we'd have to have another conversation another day about how do you fire a client, and that's just a terribly difficult thing. But use this trick and just say, spend the extra few seconds here and just say, if you really like what we do, recommend your friends and other folks to come work with us. We started doing that and we were stunned at the results, even just in a year or so.
That's awesome. Hey, and then, you can take that a step further now. If you track those referrals in your CRM, that's who gets the really nice unbranded present at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you got a good CRM system to help you track that and help, absolutely.
So Ty, I'm going to take control away from you and give it to Tala. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
All right, Tala, are you there?
I sure am.
All right, I'm transferring you control now, Tala.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen with everyone. And you should be able to see my CRM dashboard now. Is that correct?
Yes, we can, Tala.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much, Ty, for walking us through all of those really important discussion topics on why it's important to consider a CRM. So actually taking a look at a CRM system, I'm just going to show you a few of the different ways you can actually utilize this. I want to just throw out a disclaimer right in the beginning, which is a CRM system is as individualized as every company is. So there's no two CRMs that are going to look the same, that are going to be the same. But there are, of course, all of the kind of common features that you can utilize. So what you see here is something that, for the most part, you can really customize to fit your own organization. So the first thing you'll notice is I have my dashboards available to me. Now, in a CRM system, you're typically going to have multiple dashboards that bring you information from a variety of different sources. So in this case, I currently have my finance dashboard brought up. That's because this CRM account, Zoho CRM, is integrated with our Zoho Books accounting system. And so that's showing me information such as invoice status, average balances and based on their different statuses, sales based on different users, sales by customers, and so on. So this is some great information that I can actually customize. I can add components here. I can choose exactly what's relevant for me. Now, you may want to take a look at lead information for a business. So if you remember, leads are basically any piece of information you have about someone that may potentially be a client for you. And so leads could be brought in from a form that you have on your website, right? So you might have a contact form on your website that says, contact me. Or, for example, a really great example, a real world example that I saw is before COVID, we were going to a lot of trade shows, and I actually had someone come up to us saying, hey, I use Zoho CRM. And I told them about this mobile app that Zoho has. It's a free mobile app called Card Scanner. It's just a business card scanner, but it's a really neat tool where it just auto scans the business card and then it pulls out the different information. And I told them you can actually sync it into your CRM so that the information from those cards automatically gets pumped into the leads module in your CRM system. And once you actually just take a picture of that card, you can have your leads module automatically send out a welcome email. So for example, I just added myself as a lead a couple minutes ago, and I had this workflow automatically execute this email that was sent out to me. It's a very basic email just saying, hi, it was nice meeting you. And you can have some information about your organization there, but it's just a way to get into someone's inbox right away, right when you meet them. And setting up a workflow in CRM is very simple. It's simply a matter of choosing your criteria. So in my case, I said, whenever a new lead is created, go ahead and shoot out this message from this template to this email address that's been added. Now, the view that I'm looking at here is actually the leads view inside of a particular lead. Now, you can see that there's a bunch of different fields here, and this is something that you can customize completely to your organization. So this is something that you may not need an industry field, for example. That may be something that you want to change up and put some different piece of information there. Something that's related to maybe their accounting or bookkeeping, or potentially some information that's going to help you in determining what's a good fit for the types of services that you can offer them, or maybe down the road. Now, these are all part of a template that you can edit. So you can choose which fields those are. You can add new fields. You can make these drop downs. For example, if you have pre-selected choices, these can be number fields, text boxes, really anything that you need it to be, you can actually choose that here. Once you've actually created a lead, what typically happens is that leads are converted. So when you convert a lead, this actually says that, hey, I've already made contact with them. This is someone that is engaging with us in the sales process, and we are going to convert them. So when you hit convert, what happens in Zoho CRM, and in this case, I already have this email address, so it's letting me know, hey, this is a duplicate, so add it to the existing contact. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But what happens in Zoho CRM is that leads get converted into accounts. Now, accounts are essentially the organizations that you're working with. And by organizations, I mean they can be individual customer businesses or actual customers themselves. And this is really the central repository for all the information about your customers that you have. So when Val was talking about tracking information on gifts that you're going to send out to a customer, an account is exactly where you would have that information. Ty was talking about, I believe you mentioned having like birthday information. This is where you would see a lot of that information. Now, inside of an account, you have something called contacts. So contacts are the individuals inside of that potential organization. Now, this, of course, if you're working with individual customers and not businesses, then you may not have multiple contacts in the account, and that's okay. But if you, typically are doing some type of business-to-business contact, business-to-business sales, then you're going to have contacts who are people inside of that organization. And so this is where you'll actually find those individuals. So in this case, we have this individual, aptly named Banana Apple, and they've got their own set information. So what's relevant about this is that they may have their own email address, right? And you may have a personal relationship with them at that organization, and you want to have some details about that organization listed here. Maybe some details about them specifically, and those are details like birthday that you could list here. And that's a part of the business relationship that you have, but it's specific to that person. Now, of course, this is also helpful because people switch roles within organizations, and you typically want to continue your relationship with that company. So that doesn't mean that all of the core information that you have in your account has to go to waste. It can actually simply just be added as a new contact. The other contact can be archived there.
Yeah,
The
Tal, I
other-
will also mention, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, of
I want
course.
to mention that whenever you have different type of contacts as a organization, you're able to see what contact can provide what information to you. So, for example, if you're an accounting firm, you can put, the Banana Apple email as the person who provides a monthly payroll statements, or they're the ones who provide the sale.
Absolutely, right. You could have
So you can
accounts
split it up.
payable. Yeah, maybe Sally in accounts payable is a specific person that you like reaching out to when you are looking to get paid. That's a great example as well. So there are specific roles of people within that organization that you can get in contact with. So thank you for bringing that. Now, the other main function of this accounts module is that it has all of the interactions that your organization has with that client. So what I mean by that is you may have multiple people interacting with this business. So you could have other employees who send emails to this particular client. Now, if I were to go back and actually show you another account, I can go down to emails, and I can actually see emails sent from a particular person in my organization, or from all different persons in my organization. You can do the same thing for leads. And what's really useful about that is, let's say the person who is the account manager for this particular business is on vacation, or they're out sick, and you need to find some information for that particular client. Maybe they give you a call, maybe they have a question about some type of service that you're providing, or they're waiting on a response to something. So instead of having to go to Aaron and say, hey, can you please tell me a little bit more about what you were talking about with this client here, you can actually simply go down to this particular client, view all of the emails listed here, and actually see them organized here directly. So it's really a central repository for all information, not simply basic contact information. So it's going to have, let's say, phone call records listed here, notes from conversations, meetings and appointments. Those are all listed here as well. It really brings in all that information in one place. Now you'll notice there's a bunch of modules that kind of skipped over. You could actually use a tool that Zoho has called Zoho Desk. This is a support ticketing application where instead of simply getting emails from customers into a general inbox, they'll go into a kind of round robin style system where it actually tracks how long it takes to respond to them. It raises tickets to different support technicians if you have them. You can even use this on a small organization simply to know that you are responding to a client within a set period of time. And it just makes that a whole lot more organized. But all of those tickets can be shown here as well. We also have our Zoho Subscriptions finance application integrated here. And so if this client is enrolled in any of those subscriptions through our Zoho Subscriptions product, I can actually see which subscriptions those are, the status of those, when the next billing date is, and information about them. I can also drill down into the subscription to get further details on exactly what it is that they purchased, and even pull up invoices directly from my accounting system here. And I can view them as well if I need to. So this is the main accounts module. Now, the other part of a CRM system that is something that you'll have to decide whether it's relevant to your workflow or not is using something called deals. So most organizations that use a CRM that have some sort of sales system, sales workflow, use deals to organize specific sales. Now, this doesn't. I would not say that this applies specifically towards bookkeeping services or accounting services because you typically have a longer duration of that relationship, whereas a deal is kind of a fixed period of time. But let's say you were actually working on a particular project for a client that was a fixed period of time. Maybe that's a migration or some type of reconciliation or tax work that you're going to do. This is where you can actually send a proposal to the client and actually walk through the different stages that you have. So these are all customized stages. You can change these to however workflow that you have in your organization. And you can say, once we sent the proposal, they moved it to the next option, and you can actually choose what those different status options are. And then you can then know exactly what your standing is with different clients. So this is really useful if, hopefully you get to the point where you're working with multiple clients on multiple proposals, and you don't want to get your wires crossed in terms of figuring out exactly where you are. Deals are a really great way to organizing that. And then the deals belong to the accounts that you are working with. So you can always pull these up directly from inside those accounts. And again, deals have their own set of information attached to them. So maybe you have some attachments here, some information that you would like to put in here, notes. You might have competitor information. Maybe they said that they've gotten a competitive quote. Of course, these are all customizable, and you'll notice that some of these are probably unlikely to apply to an accounting organization, but are nonetheless really important. Even expenses related to maybe securing this deal, taking out a client for lunch or sending them a gift. These are things that you can log here as well. So these are the basics of a CRM system. Now, in terms of the customization options, I just wanted to take a second to go into the back and kind of show you a little bit of a peek behind the power that you have in a system like this. So one of the main functions that you're going to want to utilize is workflow rules. So if I go into settings here, which was that tools icon, and down into the automation section, we'll find workflow rules. So workflow rules allow us to create if-then statements that execute a set of actions. So the one that I mentioned earlier, which was the welcome email, you'll see that this is set up for the leads module. And let's actually take a look at what this looks like. So it's a very basic workflow. It says when a new lead is created, right? This will be executed when a new lead is created. We're going to execute this for all leads. So I can actually filter this and say, I only want to execute this for leads that meet certain criteria. So maybe we have a field that separates out the type of client that we are working with. So maybe this is a regular bookkeeping client, maybe it's a migration client, maybe it's a tax client. And I can send a different email based on which criteria was chosen when the lead was created. So in this case, we're doing it for all leads. And we simply have an action. So that action is send this email notification using this template that we have called welcome email. And this is the one that I showed you a few moments ago. Now we can do additional actions that say, and I'll zoom in to kind of show you what these look like. I can update a field. So a field update would be changing information on a different module or a different source of information that I have. So this could be a field update in a deal, for example, if I have one that's existing, or update inside of the leads module. I can apply tags to this. Maybe there's some kind of categorization that I want to do, or grouping. Email notification, which you saw. Even creating tasks. This is actually probably one of the most useful features for workflows, which is you can actually set up an automation that says every time you have a new lead, you're going to create 3 or 4 tasks. They're assigned to different people, and that's something that you do every single time. And instead of having to manually do this or let that person know that this is something they've got to take care of, you can simply set these up for yourself, for example, and just have these created and get notified that, hey, you've got to send certain piece of information, you've got to onboard them, you've got to execute these tasks. That's a really great way to simply automate these functions and not have to try to remember to do them. The same goes for creating newer records if you need to do that. Webhooks are a little bit more complex. Webhooks basically connect into the APIs of another application. So whether that's another Zoho product or a third-party app that you're using, this requires, of course, some development expertise or a developer to help you with this. And then a function is actually writing a custom function that executes some other sort of action. So these are instant actions, and then you have scheduled actions. So maybe you want some sort of task or email to be executed many days after this. So maybe 7 days after, a week later, you want to send a different email that says, hey, you've been with us for a few days now, and we really appreciate having you. Reach out to me for, for a discussion, or maybe 30 days or 60 days later. So these are all the sorts of workflows that you can create. I definitely recommend that you take some time to do more research on exactly all of the tools that are available to you, because a CRM system is really only as powerful as the person who knows, what they're doing inside of it, and of course the information that you bring into it. So there are a lot of resources for Zoho CRM. Going into a product like this, you can go to zoho.com/CRM and visit the resource pages here. So there are videos, there are classroom trainings, there are webinars that you can take, just like the one you're in right now, but specifically for CRM. There are ebooks. There's so much information. It really is Zoho's flagship product, and there are probably enough things to keep you busy there for a long time. But if you do have questions, you can always come to us. Please, talk to Ty, get information on how you can best set up in a CRM for your organization, and really kind of make that step, hopefully for this next year, to make a commitment to being more organized with your client management. So that is kind of it for the demo. We have a couple short minutes for a Q&A. Let me bring this back over to Nathan. You there?
Yeah, thanks, Saul. I'll go ahead and take control again. And yeah, I included the website for CRM within the chat section. So if you want to check that out, you're welcome to.
And I believe, Nathan, we have one more polling question. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this for you.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and get it to Ty's contact page. And our last poll question is just really if you would like Ty in the sales seed to reach out to you. She obviously provides a lot of services around the sales for your firm. And she's been partnering with us for quite some time now, kind of putting together presentations like this, and kind of be on the lookout for future presentations she's going to be doing for our organization as well.
Before we close out the session, I just wanted to ask Ty to come back on and give us your last words.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ty, we can.
Yes. Famous last words were, that was an awesome demo of Zoho CRM. Sadly, it didn't even scratch the surface of all it could do. That would take, right?
We would need a few days for that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's a phenomenal product, and the way it integrates with the suite is huge. But really now is the time if you guys are wanting to get organized before you jump into busy season. It's the perfect time to start planning this out and looking at small steps you can take to take advantage of this even before you start with busy season. Other than that, I just appreciate you all having me on, and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you, Ty. We really do appreciate you jumping on this presentation. And thank you, Tala, as well, for going through CRM for us.
Of course. And I just wanted to remind everyone, please don't close out your session once Nathan ends the session for you. That's how you can fill out the evaluation and receive your CPE later this afternoon, which I'll send out to you.
Thanks, everyone. And by the way, Ty is correct. Now is the time before you get to busy season to get after stuff like this. And I think you'll be very pleased you did. Thank you for being here today.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.